You're listening to the Mind Your Business podcast, episode number 43. Today, we're answering the question, what do you do when you have too many ideas? So, stay tuned. Hi, I'm James Wedmore, and I've built a 7-figure internet business that offers the financial freedom to do what I want, when I want. And I'm the first to say that hard work and hustle are not essential ingredients for your success. So, how do you build a thriving business from the inside out? This is the Mind Your Business podcast, featuring myself and co-host Phoebe Mroczek. Yes. Hello. Welcome to the show. James Wedmore here.
And I'm Phoebe Mroczek.
And this is another listener question of the week coming your way. We've got a great question here today. So first of all, thank you everybody who has submitted a question. We truly appreciate it. It is like the hardest thing for us to do, to pick a question. There are so many to choose from, and hopefully you don't take it personally or hate us because we haven't chosen your question yet. I promise we're getting to it. So we're not going to waste any time here today, and we'll just jump right into the question. Phoebe, you want to start us off?
Absolutely. So this question comes from Quetzi Estremera from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And Quetzi says, I did it. I followed your advice and arranged for someone else to handle my email marketing. Yes, I set up my first outsourcing project. It's the best freeing feeling ever. Thank you, James and Phoebe. You guys always feed my need for spirituality and at the same time give me some logical steps to follow. My question, I've had so many business ideas that are bizarre, ideas that are common, ideas that may be way out of my league, etc. What's funny is I never realized them. Why? Because I'm afraid that I'm being too ambitious. How do I find an outlet for all of my ideas, whether it's me realizing them or someone else? And is it crazy for me to want to have so much going on for myself? How can I satisfy my hunger for new projects without sabotaging my current ones?
Quetzi, great question. We're going to do our best to give you maybe some answers, maybe some questions of our own, and hopefully for other listeners, some clarity on this question. Because as entrepreneurs, we are plagued with way too many ideas.
I was just going to say that when we're looking at questions, so many of the ones that we've answered recently are things that I have thought to myself a million times, and this one is no exception. This is my problem. And I think, as you said, this is an entrepreneurial issue.
But it's not. But here's the thing, is it's not a problem.
Right.
We need to really get that. It's not a problem. In the question, though, Quetzi, is I hear a lot of what is causing it to be a problem for you. And I think by asking the question, is it crazy for me to want to have so much going on for myself? The answer is no. But my concern is, not a big concern, a little baby concern, is that you do think it is, or the people around you in your life have thought it is. And so really what this is it's a whole question. And if we want to go down, because you said the word, spiritual. So if we want to have this conversation from the spiritual context, if we are this vessel that is basically just channeling ideas and genius from this higher self version of us, here we are manifested in this physical reality where we are limited by time and space, and we create through our actions. There really is only so much that we can do in a day, but we really do have the ability to have more of that come through us. And I'll kind of get into that in a moment. But it's like, for example, it's like you have a funnel, right? You can imagine like a funnel, right, Phoebe? Mm-hmm. It's got a big top and then it's very small at the bottom. Mm-hmm. So it's basically what's going on here, Quetzi, is you're having a gallon a minute, like a fire hose of ideas and genius being poured in through this funnel. And then obviously the water can only come out the other end of the funnel, like a very small, 1/4 inch diameter. And so there's more coming in that's coming out. And so that's, I think, what a lot of entrepreneurs feel. And they kind of get anxiety around that. They can get entrepreneurial FOMO, right? Should I be doing this as well? Am I missing out on this latest craze and stuff? And so we don't want to do that. We don't want to go into the negative place. But we do want to say that you're the one who has made it a 1/4 inch diameter, no one else. And if you want it to be larger, you can. And I look at where I started my business and where I'm in today, and it has been on the spiritual path, on the, just personal development path, it has been about really opening up that spout to carry more, to hold the space for more. I mean, we're doing a podcast. We run a membership site. We're just about to go into a launch for one of my signature programs. We're doing a mastermind. There's speaking events. And I mean, all this stuff that I'm doing that I don't think I could have ever held the space for or even comprehend doing a couple years ago. And so what really is coming up that I read from your question is just a fear or a lack of belief that you can do all this stuff at once. And I think it becomes a lot harder when we feel like by choosing one idea, I have to say no to all the others. And I think that's why we don't choose, because you said, I never realized them. I'm afraid I'm being too ambitious. There's that fear coming up again, a fear of, or a belief of, I may not be able to do it, that this might be bigger than something that I'm capable of doing, and that I'm not enough, which is usually where it ultimately comes down to. And so whatever your ideas are, I mean, I love the bizarre and crazy ideas. I have ideas that we won't even get to. They're just way too bizarre for most people. Ideas that have worked that are bizarre and crazy. You're always in the right place when you talk to me about crazy and bizarre. And I'm just going to say, but what will have to change is the belief around it first. It's great. There's nothing wrong with having a crazy idea. There's nothing wrong with it being bizarre. But you got to be able to believe that it's going to produce the outcome or result that you want it to have, that you intend it to have first, before that could ever be possible. You can have a crazy idea that's very successful. You can have a crazy idea that's not successful. Like, the fact that it's crazy to me is irrelevant. I say the crazier, the better.
Well, and also, I know personally, if I ever say something is like kind of a crazy idea, I know if I actually put that out in front of me and look at it, I'm only saying that it's crazy because I really want it to work, but I'm holding back. I'm like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I'm like, it's crazy. But the second, if someone came in and said, that's a great idea, I'd be like, yeah, it would immediately turn from crazy to a really good idea, because I feel like there's some ideas I have that I kind of need that external validation that it actually could work, or it's a feasible product, or, an app or something like that actually could work.
But in reality, you don't need any of that.
Exactly. And that's why, that's something inside me that's like, well, obviously there's something I need to work on, because I would love to just put all my ideas out on the table and be like, these are all amazing ideas.
Yeah.
I'm just not there yet.
Well, I think too, something, if we all trace this back to a fear of, to use Kwetsy's exact words, is I'm afraid that I'm being too ambitious, means I'm afraid that I can't do it, or that I'm not enough to make this happen, right? And at the end of the day, the cold, harsh truth is that no matter how spiritual you are, no matter how much you do your visualizing and your manifesting and all that woo-woo magic, it is an inevitable truth and fact that for your idea to become something more than just that, just an idea, there will come a moment in time where you will have to face that fear, where you will have to, what I say, step out of the comfort zone and into the realm of uncertainty and take that leap. And if you're waiting for all the stars to align, for all the lights to turn green, and for everyone to give you permission to say, this is the right time, and this is the easiest path, it's fun, and blah, 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 you're going to be waiting a long time. And I think that's the thing, is a lot of people are doing that. They're saying, ooh, I don't know, this is scary, and I'm not ready yet, and it needs more time, and it's just, the economy, and I don't have enough money saved up, and we make all these reasons as to why it's not ready yet, or the time isn't just right. And the time never will be just right. If you want to get one of these ideas to be manifested or realized, and it hasn't already, there is something you will have to face. And the beautiful thing about this, and this is a belief that I have, is that if you have the idea, if the idea originated in your brain, and you have a desire for that idea to realize itself, then you have everything that you need in order to do that. That you are capable of accomplishing or creating that idea. That's a beautiful thing. And so a lot of this is just about discovering what we're capable of, or unleashing our true potential. But that potential was there all along, and it's discovering it. And anybody who's spoken on stage for the first time or done their first webinar or something right outside their comfort zone for the first time know exactly what I'm talking about here. You can't avoid that. You can't avoid the action step. If it's something big that you've been trying for and you haven't gotten it, there is this moment, this action item you'll have to take, which I call the ledge. Have we talked a little bit about my little visualization of the ledge on here?
I don't think so.
So this is really how I experience it for a lot of my coaching clients, is that we set off on this journey, and a lot of students I see will go out on the journey, but a lot of the work in the journey is them like buying courses and filling their head with content and getting knowledge and more videos and some motivation and then some more videos and then they got a book and they're reading. So they filled their head with all this content, which is great. And they know the strategy. They've mapped out a plan. Maybe they've worked on their own stuff, but it hasn't been put out there yet. They've created a product or a coaching program. But no matter what, there's going to come a point where they stand on the edge of this ledge where everything behind them is what has prepared them for this moment. And now their toes are hanging over the edge. They're looking down and they're going to have to make that leap. And there's the old Zen saying that says, leap and the net will appear. But you will have to take that step into the realm of uncertainty. The beautiful part is that the fear isn't there once you step. That's what we always experience. And if you've ever done the Tony Robbins firewalk, that's how it was, for me, right? You stand there and you're freaking out. You're about to walk on fire. And then you take that first step and you're like, oh, I'm doing it. This is great. Let's do it again.
I remember my first webinars, I got so nervous. I would be like sweating in my apartment and I would have to really get myself pumped up. And I would watch people come into the room just sitting there and they didn't know I was there. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And my heart would be racing. And I'd be like, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know. And then I'd have to click start, begin webinar. But as I was in it, it was just awesome. And then at the end, I'd be like, God, that was so exciting. And I was so pumped. And then I couldn't go to sleep for, another 5 hours until 2 o'clock in the morning because I was so excited. But it was, I would say, even if I did a couple webinars now, I would still get that awful heart racing. It's a feeling that I feel like a lot of people probably know regardless of what the situation is. But for me, it was doing some webinars on something that even I felt really comfortable talking about.
Yeah, I love that. And we all do that. And it doesn't stop unless you stop. We've talked about in the past how certain newer projects for me, it's like, oh my gosh, this is what it was like 8 years ago, all over again. It's just a deeper layer of it. So, Quetzi, as I look at your question, and I hope we've started to give you a little clarity, I want to ask you a question now. And the question is, what is one thing, one action item, one big to-do item that that you have been avoiding? What's one thing that you've been putting off in the back of your mind that you say, okay, I'm going to do this. Yeah, I'll do that later. I'll put that, I'll get to that. What's the thing that you need to be doing, but you have been putting it off? That's what I'm talking about. It's different for everybody. Some people, it's just, just writing my sales page. It's different for everyone. But here's the thing. You are blessed with this creativity and this energy of flowing ideas. My fear is that when we don't take action on the ideas stop coming. And I'm not trying to get all negative on you, but if an idea is like a seed and all these seeds are being planted, but no one's bothering to water them, see them grow and flourish, then what's the point of planting the seeds? So grow these ideas, take action on these. We've done other episodes on productivity and efficiency. Don't try and grow all of them at the same time. Focus on one. James, which one? Follow your gut. Use your intuition. Start with the one that lights you up the most, that gets you the most excited. If you could only choose one. That's the beauty. We have an episode on quality of questions that you ask yourself. If I could only choose one idea and use this idea for the rest of my life, which one would it be? Which one is a hell yes to me? Now, you asked one more question in there that I want to get to before we wrap this one up. The question is, how can I satisfy my hunger for new projects without sabotaging my current ones? Again, I think this is also a little bit of the quote unquote curse of the entrepreneur, is that we stay in the entrepreneurial phase a little too much. Entrepreneurs just like innovating. That's all they do. They have ideas, they are problem solvers. And the problem is that as a business grows, it can't stay in that phase. It must evolve and mature. It must expand, hire, have systems, better systems. It must run like a clock, machine here. And what entrepreneurs do is they like to break the machine and see if they can rebuild another one. And so we have to be very careful and mindful of this. You want to make sure that your business is growing and maturing in a natural, healthy way. So the only thing I'm going to say to this point, because I think this is something we could go way deeper on, is that in order to move on to the next idea or project, you want to take a moment and first identify what is a completion point or a deadline or a definition of done that you can create for the project that you're on now. And I do this all the time. I'll say, okay, as soon as I have this making me $20,000 a month and having someone manage it weekly, I can move on to the next one. Or just as soon as this is finished, I can move on to the next one. Or as soon as I hire someone, or as soon as I automate this, or as soon as I get this person to do these steps for me and it's running smoothly, then I'll move on. If you're going to spend your time, effort, energy, money, and love into a project and into an idea, you might as well make sure that it can keep working and running and moving efficiently without you before you move on to the next one. Otherwise, I really have to question, why are we doing it?
Right. I think that there isn't like a, when she's saying this, like without, moving on to new projects, I think also like you don't have to completely get rid of something. You can still have your hand in that pot and then put your hand in this pot. I realize, your hand in the new pot is going to take up so much more energy, time, resources, whatever. But I also don't want you to be fearful that you give that project up and you like never see it again, because that to me, feels really concrete and really like, I don't know. It just feels like the end. You're like cutting a cord that doesn't need to be cut necessarily. And the other part, when I was reading your question, I was thinking to myself and I was like, maybe have a look at your project, whatever your current project that you're working on in your company or whatever that looks like, and see, are there other little projects that you could take on within that would kind of fulfill that need, for something a little bit more exciting.
Can you give an example?
Yeah. So for example, like this is kind of a relevant thing for me, like, if I have a business and then I really want to develop this app and I have a really good idea for an app, but maybe what it is about that excitement of the app isn't necessarily the idea of it. It's the passion behind it. So for me, it's like trying something new, getting into the app world, which is something I am not familiar with at all. But maybe I could pull that app idea into the current business and get to know it a little bit better, because I'm not familiar at all with that space. So now I start to develop those habits and those skills needed to actually create that app. And then once I see it working, I can go take those skills to a new business. And then I would have that same passion, the same, now I have new skills and I have a great idea. So it's kind of a transitional phase as opposed to, jumping completely onto a new ship and not having those skills. And then you're fighting a completely uphill battle. So that's kind of, in my head, the transitional phase that maybe I would look towards if I did have a current project that was really working well, but just looking for new ways to innovate or to develop new skills.
To stimulate that entrepreneurial side.
Yeah.
And, I've said this before, quickest way to dissipate your passion and have it really, the flame of your passion snuffed out, is not seeing profit. The proof is in the profit. You always want to look for that as quickly as you can. A lot of times people the passion wanes because they've been working on a project for so long and they don't have any proof yet. They don't have any results to say, am I just wasting 6 months of my life? And I know the business we've created, the model we teach, is something that you don't need to spend a lot of time testing and seeing results fast. And so that's always something, talk about logical steps. Like that's something you want to do very quickly. So, and that's probably another episode as well. So Quetzi, I hope this helps. I hope this gives you a little bit of clarity. Again, thank you for the great question. I love seeing another person with a bunch of great or crazy and bizarre ideas. I think it's fantastic. I think it's a gift, but it's also part of that gift. The responsibility of that gift is to manifest those ideas. Whether, as you said, you do them yourself or you put them in the hands of someone else, they should be put to good use. So thank you again, Quetzi. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in to our listener question of the week. If you would like to ask us a question and be featured on one of our upcoming episodes of the Mind Your Business podcast, simply head on over to mindyourbusinesspodcast.com and you can submit any question you want there. Nothing's off limits, right, Phoebes?
That's it.
Nothing. Boy, we just opened up a can of worms on that one. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll see you on the next episode. Are you frustrated that no matter how hard you hustle, no matter how much you get done in a day, you still feel like you have a little results to show for it? Do you feel like you're doing everything right, but there's still something missing? Well, what if there was an easier way? What if your business could be fun, effortless, and profitable? Phoebe and I have put together a free audio MP3 for you, compiling the 77 business affirmations for creating success from the inside out. And we want to give it to you absolutely free. This is your chance to rewire your brain for bigger results in your life and your business. To get instant access absolutely free, simply visit 77affirmations.com. That's the number 77affirmations.com.